Being a console of the 1980s, with a mostly black screen, the Vectrex was primed to receive a lot of space games, and one of its early arcade ports was Scramble, which was originally developed by Konami. And this is interesting actually, you see how on the cartridge it says Vectrex cassette, not cartridge.
It's not a cassette.
It's too early.
I suppose at the time, at the time things were cassettes, weren't
Yeah,
they? Spectrum ran on cassettes.
Cartridges would have only just been invented.
Scramble is one of the earliest shmups, having laid the groundwork for countless games that followed it. You fly through 6 different environments on your way to an enemy base, all of which are impressively recreated in the Vectrex port. The feeling of flying through each area is almost identical, with a few minor differences in pace.
Sort of like a shoot 'em up, but I haven't got things coming at me, just got things taken off so far.
So what you can see here though, is your fuel level. That's the key thing with this game. That there are effectively places you can blow up, and in blowing them up, your fuel will refill. It's those sort of little tripod kind of buildings with the square.
Yes, I think I just got one.
Yeah, this is one of the Vectrex's arcade ports, which is why we're looking at it right now. And in the arcade version, it's not vector graphics, it's just regular raster graphics with pixel art. So it's quite a nice sort of comparison to have.
Well, your fuel goes down ever so quick.
Given that Scramble is one of the Vectrex's core arcade ports, it really typifies the whole purpose of the system. The Vectrex's selling points were that it is technically portable, allows you to play video games without tying up the main TV in your house, and of course has this incredible Vectrex display. But the fourth thing it can do was play arcade games a bit more faithfully than other consoles of the time. Scramble is just a couple of lines. You're flying through a cave, well here's the top of the cave, and here's the bottom of the cave, and here are some enemies in between. It's everything you expect and remember from the arcade machine. Seeing older consoles struggle to reproduce the kind of high fidelity from arcade machines of the time leaves a lot of room for error, and there's a lot of wonky ports on home consoles from that era. But the Vectrex had this perfect window of opportunity where it didn't have to worry about being a one-for-one recreation as long as it got the gameplay right. And Scramble is a fine example of that.
So what condition did your Vectrex get to you in when you first got it?
Well, I spent about £370 on this. And for that I got the console, 6 games with their overlays, as well as the Mindstorm overlay, and 2 controllers. And I think $370 is actually quite a good price. The reason it came to me at a lower price than you might expect is because it was sold as like only half working. The power switch was said to be faulty, and that it only worked some of the time. And the recommendation of the seller was that you just plug it into the wall and use the wall socket to switch it on and off. And I was like, well, I could get this Vectrex, and for the purposes of video, I could do some repairs on it, take it apart, and make sure that the power switch is working. But through like testing it and using it and getting used to the console, that power switch problem just seemed to like go away on its own. So it came to me in like sort of half working condition, and after a few weeks of playing with it, I was like, it's actually in better condition now than when I first received it. It's just doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing.
Maybe you gave it a bit of a clean and that sort of sorted it out. I'm sure you would have.
I wonder if there was just a bit of dust in the power switch itself that's just been dislodged, and now the connection is happening more securely.
Yeah. A working Vectrex can get quite expensive, but
as it happens, I got the console at a pretty decent price because the person who sold it to me didn't think it worked correctly, and it turns out it kind of does. So lucky me, I guess. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were faults in the future relating back to that issue.
Either way, I decided I would still open up the system just to make sure everything else was clean and working properly. I also wanted to fit a new power cord with a switch halfway up the cable. The Vectrex being a very old piece of technology, it's never truly turned off unless you turn it off at the wall socket. And I wasn't comfortable with the Vectrex receiving power in any way unless I was actively playing it. Even if the console is turned off, you can still hear it humming away. It's receiving power. And I thought,
a very old television.
Well, exactly. It is a very old television.
Yeah.
So now I've added that additional switch. I can turn it off at night and go to bed knowing that it's not going to randomly explode, if that was even a possibility. But it's certainly a lot safer now. I will say that you have to be very careful when you dismantle a Vectrex. It is a CRT television after all, and they have the potential to hold some electrical charge even when they've been turned off for quite some time. So you have to make sure that you discharge that energy so you don't kill yourself, and I did that successfully, as you can see.
Well, yeah, I mean, I was going to bring that up anyway, is that the console itself has a
buzz.
But yeah, it's like one of the first things you notice. And again, going back to like old TVs, my parents used to have a TV that sort of did that. I guess it's just, do all Vectrexes have that? Is that just parcel of the technology?
Supposedly, when the Vectrex was designed, you're getting further than I've ever been on this, by the way.
Really?
When it was first designed, they said that the prototypes didn't have a buzz. And then when it went through the manufacturing in China, the domestic for sale units just came with a buzz, and it was like, well, what happened here? And people say that it's most likely caused by a lack of shielding between the sound amplifier and the Vectrex screen. The monitor is like, there's electrical feedback creating that buzz. That's where that sound's coming from. People do sell buzz-off chips, which are, things you can install into the Vectrex, which just completely remove it. And I've considered doing that, but frankly, I don't play the Vectrex for a bit of peace and quiet. I don't mind the buzz.
It's part of the system, isn't it? It's part of the history of it.
I'm sat next to a baby monitor most of the time when I'm gaming, so I'm not like, oh, there's a bit of sound. Like, yeah, I can hear sounds while I'm gaming. It doesn't have to be a pure, audiophonic experience.
I'm really getting into this one, and something that you have to factor in is you're watching your enemies, what's coming towards you, but you're constantly watching the ground to look for your fuel. Like, I've just run out. You're always having one eye on your fuel. You're trying to, which I think is just a really cool gaming, really cool mechanic for one of these really old style games.
Naturally, most of the Vectrex games are space shooters because of the era the console came out, where most of your screen remained black. Even with graphics being difficult to produce, doing a space game just made sense. And especially on the Vector display, almost all of the screen is black all of the time. So having a little spaceship shooting some bullets just is like the natural thing. And of course, coming off the back of Star Wars and things like that, this was the era that the Vectrex existed in.
Kind of Cold War era games where everything was shooting in space.
Shall we swap games again?
Yeah.